Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of MaxQ. I am so excited to be able to invite Malory McLemore here today. She is the CEO of Stell Engineering. It's a very cool company. I actually met her and Anne, who I believe is your COO or CTO.
Yes.
Well, yes, Anne Wen. She's fantastic too at an event, and they're just tremendous people. So much energy and so much creativity and innovation happening with what they're building that I think everyone's going to really enjoy this episode. So, with that, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Molly. I am founder and CEO at Stell. I am here in our Los Angeles office. We have 5 employees in LA and we have about 6 in San Francisco, and we're growing fast. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and studied aerospace engineering at the University of Alabama. I worked as an aerospace engineer. I used to build things like cockpit doors for aircraft and Delta Airlines' new Wi-Fi systems. And I spent a couple of years working in defense as well at Raytheon before going to Harvard Business School during the pandemic, actually. And that is when I started working on what became Stell. I became pretty obsessed at the time with the fact that I thought manual paperwork and lots of PDF communication was slowing down all of the projects that I had been a part of. And I had this unique perspective from Airbus having traveled to all these different suppliers. And so I was really passionate about uh, creating a new tooling suite for this new era of engineers. And yeah, so left Harvard Business School. I was an intern at Anduril Industries, and I worked at another startup for a little while before founding Stell 2.5 years ago.
That is quite the resume. I don't know many people could compete with that. You always say it so humbly too, like, "Oh, by the way, I did this and I did that, and I built all these things." It's amazing, is what it is. And now you're building Stell. For all the founders in the audience, I would love for you to talk a little bit about what that journey's looked like for you.
Yeah, I think looking back, I realize how long of a journey it really is. When the the idea first came to me just as a problem I was obsessed with solving. So I didn't initially imagine any like form or shape of a solution or a company. It was just something I was really curious about as this macroeconomic force and topic that I got a lot of energy from when I was at Harvard. I was reading a lot of books at the time about reshoring manufacturing. And so I just really leaned into that curiosity. I think especially the fact that it was during the pandemic, I suddenly had a lot of free time, and I'm very type A. I have a lot of energy, so I just kind of poured that into researching this problem. From there, I think the biggest thing to do is just to take action and I think accept failure, even in like small little ways. I did things like there was a startup boot camp at Harvard Business School, and I did that, and I formed a team and worked on an initial version of kind of a solution to the problem. And from there, I realized I probably needed more experience on how to build a company and how to build software, which is why I joined Anduril as an intern because it was a really fast growing company that I really admired the founders. And so I went there on purpose to kind of figure out like how do you build an excellent company and like is building new like software solutions for DoD and for aerospace something that I enjoy and I'm good at. And yeah, I think from there, the final founding moment where I actually called Anne and I asked her if she wanted to work on this full time, it kind of just felt like I couldn't not work on it anymore. I think I just turned 30 and I had this feeling that if I didn't do it then, I might never.
It's really interesting. You're just like totally called to this thing. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about the problem that you're solving for and, how Stell kind of steps into that gap because you're so passionate about it. And I do think it's really interesting and needed.
Yeah, sure. So the problem that a lot of systems engineers or just kind of like difficult hardware companies are facing are the ultimate customer is typically NASA or DoD or a, a commercial airline like Delta Airlines. And what will happen is, the idea for a system and what that system should do in space or in flight is written down on a large PDF. And these are requirements for that system. So if NASA's building a new satellite to go to Jupiter, they will write that they need a spacecraft with a certain amount of fuel to get to Europa to actually perform their scientific missions. And what happens for the contractors actually performing this mission is that those kind of mission level requirements get broken down into how this system should actually perform in a very, very detailed level, how it should be manufactured, tested. And this results in thousands of documents and tests and inspections that must be done to such a detailed level to actually make these things a success. And, there's no one company that actually meets one of these missions most of the time. It's, teaming of lots of businesses, small and large, and government agencies. And so all of these requirements and how they're met, communicating on those, and actually making sure zero mistakes are made. Because often one flaw in a spacecraft or an aircraft part can mean catastrophic failure of that system. So it's teams of people working together and doing that on PDFs and emailing back and forth and having a week long meeting. Just you can see why our defense budget is so astronomically over budget, over schedule. It's because all of these great people are trying to make sure these systems will perform, and they're doing so with just really outdated tools.
Goodness, yes. No, I mean, and you mentioned like it's this ginormous team, right? I would love for you to talk a little bit about, okay, so you're wrangling this team and you guys are making, innovative strides. How does that translate to your team at Stell and how you guys work together and as you build this startup?
I think when we're interviewing someone to join Stell, the most important thing we look for is we say, are they ready to serve aerospace engineers? And that is a pretty low ego role. If if you want to be the person getting credit for building the rocket or the drone and watching it fly, which is very, very fun, I totally get that. At Stell, it's more about, I would say, fighting every single day to pay attention to detail and be creative and execute on building that product that our customers need. And that means really listening to them and coming up with new solutions that both can be built from a technical standpoint in code, will be cyber secure, and will work for a broad range of customers, because that's how you build a great solution that actually works across industries. And and so for our team, it is really just communicating really tightly every single day, and every person, I think, really caring about each of our customers and actually coming to customer calls, being in contact with them, and putting something in front of them quickly and getting a solution quickly. And we kind of fight for that every day. I think that that pretty accurately describes the dynamic. Is just we don't we don't let things go for weeks. We kind of attack solving our customers' problems as quickly as we can.
Well, I think you said that early on, right? As a founder, you're like, move fast. Just you got to do something. You got to move fast. I love that because it's true. You have a lot of energy. It sounds like you bring that energy to Stell.
I I try to, but sometimes if like a different team member, like Anne, will bring that energy, or our head of engineering Zoe will bring that energy that day, and we kind of feed on each other. And as long as one of us has it, we move forward. But yeah, and it's not being afraid of, sometimes we put things in front of customers and they fail, or we were scared to ship a simple version of something, but then we learn and we can do it better. I think if you spend 6 months building a feature that you think is going to be perfect, like, I don't know, you're going to be slightly wrong about what your customer wants, and your kind of ego has gotten in the way of ultimately like a good solution being built.
Like that. I hadn't actually considered that before, that it's ego, right? Like people say, "Oh, I'm a perfectionist," or "I want this to be perfect." But you're right, it is ego, right? Like because it's a reflection of what you're doing. Like I hadn't actually considered that. That's good. That's good advice. Like, hey, step out of the way. Get something done. Well, what tips do you have for founders that are either just starting or maybe are in the thick of it? I know you just mentioned going to a trade show and you kind of like looked back and you were like, we've come a long way. Like in the day to day, like you can't see it, but like looking back, you're like, wow, we've made it.
Yeah. I think my biggest advice would just to be to believe in yourself and have confidence, and to give yourself patience to feel that compounding effect. I think the hardest part of founding the company was early on. It does get easier, in my opinion, every day you do it, and you have those wins and you have that team around you. You feel stronger and stronger. And I think it does take time to see results. Like you could be doing the right thing every day for 3 months, and it can it can feel very Sisyphean because you're not seeing an immediate result for that action and that hard work. But I think when Anne and we've been worried we maybe weren't doing the right thing. We've kind of had a conversation and almost kind of bolstered each other to say we really do believe in this and we're working very hard and we're you just stay connected to that customer problem. I think just staying confident during those early days where nothing is working yet because it's all new. But those are the fun days for sure.
Well, it sounds like you have, I mean, I know Anne, so I know that she is, but it sounds like you have really good like relationship and almost in kind of a co-founder way. And I wonder like if you could speak a little bit about like what makes that special and unique for those that are looking maybe for a co-founder or for somebody like a CEO to come in and help them.
Anne is so hardworking and stubborn and principled, and I knew this about her from HBS because we were co-presidents of the Space Club. And also, we were in school, but Anne always had a side hustle. Like, she would work for free for like any venture capital firm, and she was so curious about space. And like, so I just saw her as passionate and hardworking. And even at HBS, like to see someone that spent that much of their time, like not socializing and going to like the beer club, but like she was just like doing work for free. I was like, this is someone that is going to be really strong to work with. And I think too, she has this like tenacity of if we believe we're doing the right thing, just to like keep working hard at that. Um, and there have been moments where honestly, I would have walked away from the computer or like the meeting and kept she was like, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna get this done. And that has led to a lot of success for us.
That's such a good answer. So, okay, for the sake of time, we're just going to end with our last question. What are you currently reading right now?
I I don't know if I should be saying this on a podcast, but I've been so ingrained in Stell and moving it forward. And other than that, I try to just exercise and get outside because I just am on a computer inside all day. Um, and yeah, I actually can't think of anything right now. One of my professors at HBS that I really admired, they taught a space economics class. They published a book. It was Matthew Weinzierl and Brendan Rousseau called Space to Grow. And that book is based on the kind of trying to define the economic model for demand in space. I have my copy and I should start reading it. I think it'll be amazing.
That's awesome. Well, that's good. I can link to that. And for anybody else in the podcast, like if you want to connect with Malory, that's awesome. LinkedIn, I'll put all links in the video description as usual. And just thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Your story really is one of my favorites. So I really appreciate you sharing.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Molly.